Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Nelson for Catholic Newsbreak. Here's what's happening this week in the news. We begin from the Vatican. The snow that fell this past week at the Vatican no longer slowing anyone down. An international symposium on sexual abuse of minors is scheduled to begin this week. Also, Vatican officials are denying claims of corruption found in letters from the current apostolic nuncio to the United States. Carol Glatz of Catholic News Service has all the details on all these stories.
At the Vatican, the snow is finally melting after Rome's biggest snowfall in decades. It only took a few inches to shut the city down and start up the fun. Even the Pope showed his preference for warmer weather when he told pilgrims on Sunday, "The snow is beautiful, but let's hope that spring comes soon." In other news, an international symposium is kicking off today at the Pontifical Gregorian University. Bishops' conferences and religious superiors from around the world are gathering to share strategies and concerns dealing with the sexual abuse of minors by church workers. There'll be a papal message, and a number of high-ranking Vatican officials are speaking at the four-day conference, including U.S. Cardinal William Leveda of the Vatican's doctrinal congregation. And finally, the Vatican said on Saturday that charges of corruption and mismanagement by the office governing Vatican city-state were unfounded. The charges, which had been leaked to the press, had been made by the apostolic nuncio to the United States, Archbishop Carlo Vigano. Vatican officials said the accusations were erroneous and unsupported by proof.
Looking at other news now from the Vatican, the prefect of the Congregation for Institutes of Consecrated Life and Societies of Apostolic Life is saying to wealthier religious orders that they should share their resources with struggling religious communities. In an interview with L'Osservatore Romano, Cardinal João Braz de Avis said that while religious men and women live a life of poverty and possess nothing, their religious institutions doesn't always give the same witness. He said the question is, why aren't resources being shared among different religious institutes? He gave the example of a religious order that has significant financial assets earmarked for caring for and supporting its members in their old age. He asked whether this was the true aim of such funds and whether the money could be given to help another institute that was struggling or in need. The cardinal said that he thinks people do not believe enough in God's providence that the Lord will provide. He noted that he has had to help communities overcome divisions over the institution's assets, and he has seen attitudes that are not correct, attitudes that have taken on a consumerist point of view. In news now from around the country. This year, there are several states that are facing legislation that would legalize same-sex marriage. In Maryland, the governor is sponsoring a bill that would do just that. Chaz Muth of Catholic News Service has the details.
The same-sex marriage issue will be facing lawmakers and voters in several states this year, and Catholic bishops nationwide are urging their flock to voice their opposition to what they say is an assault on traditional marriage. Same-sex marriage supporters say this is a civil rights issue. Legislatures in Washington State, Maryland, and New Jersey are considering legislation that would legalize same-sex marriage, while voters in Maine will vote on a gay marriage referendum in November. Same-sex marriage legislation narrowly failed in Maryland in 2011, but this year, that state's Catholic governor is sponsoring a bill to legalize such marriages. If it passes, Maryland will be the 7th state, plus the District of Columbia, to allow gay marriages.
Like last year, weren't able to pass the bill. I'm hoping that happens again this year. But then also, the hope is to go beyond that, not just to not pass the bill, but also to change hearts. To convert people and to convince them that marriage is one man and one woman.
It's predicted that the Maryland legislature will pass the bill this year, and if that happens, Governor Martin O'Malley will certainly sign it into law.
If it does pass and it does go to referendum, that we as a Christian community could take this to the polls and get it repealed.
Recent polls suggest that a slight majority of U.S. adults support legalizing same-sex marriage. But when those numbers are broken down by generations, it shows an overwhelming support among the millennials. In Annapolis, Maryland, this is Chaz Muth for Catholic News Service.
Looking now at news from around the world, when Pope Benedict XVI arrives in the Caribbean in March on an historic trip to Cuba, he will encounter a region in a state of religious flux and economic uncertainty. The Catholic Church's standing is being challenged by a rise in evangelicalism and a lack of indigenous clergy. Colonial history, the prevalence of Afro-Caribbean religions such as Haitian voodoo and Santeria, and widespread poverty are all challenges to the church in Cuba and the entire Caribbean region. In the most recent Vatican Statistical Yearbook, the Caribbean is 65% Catholic, ranging from a high of 88% in the Dominican Republic to a low of 4% in Barbados and Jamaica. While that percentage of Catholics is among the highest for any region in the world, estimates from previous years were as high as 78%. Cuba's communist regime declared itself an atheist state in 1976, although it has since redefined itself as secular. Now the government is allowing about 10,000 to 15,000 so-called home churches to spring up, which is a testament to the growing evangelical movement. Observers are saying the rise of evangelicalism is directly related to the Catholic Church's downturn in recent years. Unlike Catholics, whose masses are at the center of parish life, small evangelical congregations focus on pressing social issues like poverty. The congregations are led by local residents familiar with the issues in the very communities in which they were born and raised, and this is helping to attract younger people. The evangelical population is growing by about 5% annually, while Catholic churches are importing priests to help out with the lack of local clergy. Experts are saying that although Pope Benedict is only scheduled to visit Cuba, his trip could provide an opportunity to reclaim lost ground in the Caribbean. And finally in the news, the Vicar General, the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City, has been named by Pope Benedict XVI to head the Diocese of Salina, Kansas. Monsignor Edward Weisenberger, who is 51 years old, will succeed Archbishop Paul Coakley, who was appointed Oklahoma City's Archbishop in December of 2010. Bishop-designate Weisenberger attended the American College Seminary at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. He was ordained a priest of the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City in 1987. In 1995, he served as an on-site chaplain for rescue workers in the weeks following the bombing of the Mara Federal Building in Oklahoma City. Bishop-designate Weisenberger is a member of the Canon Law Society of America, a fourth-degree Knight of the Knights of Columbus, and a Knight Commander in the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem. Well, that is all the information we have for you at this time. Please stay with Catholic TV for more Catholic news. Until then, I'm Kevin Nelson, and I'll see you next time on Catholic Newsbreak.